No,
Okay.
maybe the college should, actually. It would be interesting. If I found a research grant that funded that, maybe I'd consider it.
Yeah.
But I do a fairly extensive survey in addition to the usual university evaluations, which are basically quantitative.
Right.
I do hand out a survey, and I keep it all anonymous. I always have my graduate assistant hand it out and collect it and hold it until the term is over to just make it really anonymous.
And what are the responses?
Well, they're interesting. I mean, I have to tell you the questions, I guess. I ask if the course met their expectations or what their expectations were. Was it any different from what they expected?
Right.
Did they look forward to coming to class? What sections of the class were most effective? What sections were least effective?
Right.
You know, what advice would they have for students taking the
Yeah.
course in the future? Would they recommend the course to other students?
Right.
I mean, generally, I get favorable responses
Right.
in these surveys. The students say it's a lot of work to try to blend all these different elements that I throw at them and digest it all. I think the students generally feel at the end of the course that they have a greater sense of comprehending, trying to have the tools to comprehend the problems in the world and think about what to do about them.
For example, I'm asking because it would be interesting to hear a concrete experience. Did you have a student coming to you and say, "Okay, thank you, Dr. Schattle. I mean, this class was really interesting, and as a result of that, I really developed an interest into something specific, or I changed my way of acting on daily basis." So, such experiences. I'd be curious to know whether this happened to you, having students sharing with you such.
Oh, it happens to me as well. You know, I might be more cautious not wasting water for a few days after covering it with my class or hearing something from a student. So it goes every direction. One time, I mean, I don't know. I mean, most of the time, I think the students they hear I mean, in any class, you hear something and your life might change in a very subtle way. You don't necessarily have a lightning bolt.
Right.
But I've had a few, and I had one student, for instance, who we read the book Disposable People by Kevin Bales, which talks at length about, as you may know, people that are basically stuck in slavery conditions.
Right.
You know, Bales estimated, this was as of 2003, I think. It was around the time I started teaching this course. And Bales estimated at the back then, I don't know what the count is now, but at the time there were 27 million people around the world, and you know, sort of involuntary forms of labor. I mean, Bales defines a slave as somebody who's working in horrible coercive conditions, but not just because they've agreed to go to work, but they're being held under some threat of violence. And if they try to escape, there'll be some sort of violent retaliation. So one of the countries that was in focus was Thailand. And this particular student had grown up in a community where there were a lot of Thai people, and knew a lot of people from Thailand, had a lot of empathy for the country and the culture. And the stories of the slavery, the teenage slavery there that affects a lot of young women, really shocked him and horrified him. And he eventually went to Thailand, and he was a business major, and he was interested. I mean, talk about social entrepreneurship. He was interested in trying to start some sort of initiative that would basically give women from rural Thailand, or the parents of these young women who sell them off into prostitution, give them another outlet, give them another opportunity.